Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Jonathan Reeves here with another Vectorworks video, and today we're going to have a look at a really simple example to using Vectorworks for a BIM workflow. Now, this is something that I spend a huge amount of my time teaching and training for individuals, practices and large practices as well, because adopting BIM workflow is not the most straightforward thing, but I'm going to try and boil it down to some nice simple steps for you today. I'm just going to create a really simple example of a simple building like you can see here, but all in space for a few minutes. So make sure you hang around to the end to see the whole process, and I think you'll be blown away by the amount of stuff I produce in this very short space of time. So we can produce plans, elevations and sections and some nice little 3Ds as well within no time at all. So what we're going to do to begin with is basically just go to a blank sheet, and I'm going to start with nothing in this file. I'm basically going to go ahead using my rectangle tool, and if I double click number 4, I can generate a shape which is 9 meters by 6 meters as my starting point. I'm going to go ahead and create objects and shapes by right clicking, and basically, you may not know this, but I can create walls and slabs and all sorts of things very rapidly using that command. So now it starts to get interesting. I can go to my wonderful JRA walls library and select from a really wide range of walls that I have on my library within my store. Now, if you do want to reach out to me, I sell these on the store and they're amazing. They saved so much time. They're really nicely set up and they're very, very simply classed as well. Plus they have some nice materials, as you can see. So the really great thing about these walls is they come in already three-dimensional. Now, if you do want to prefer to set them to layer wall height, then fine. All you need to do then is adapt your layer and actually put in the layer wall height there, and they will spring up to that particular floor-to-floor height you've chosen. Good, so we're already making some nice progress. Just wanted to show you also that if you go into your document preferences, you have the option to set a low level of detail to the scale you're working at. And then with the kind of like low level detail button, you can hide or show the level of detail within the walls. So what we'll do, we'll just take a quick look at this library. You can see it's nicely kind of organized in a few different folders. And if I right click, even better, I can actually open the file. And basically while I'm here, I can look at it in both 2D and sort of see all those different build-ups, but I can also look at them in 3D, which is really useful. So this means I can go in and visually select the most sort of similar kind of wall types that I would like to use on my project. And for me, this is my preferred way of selecting walls. Just go to my library and open it. And then, if I need to make some adaptations to insulation thickness or different materials, I can do that very, very rapidly. Okay, so I really like to just do this. Go ahead and paste those in, align and distribute them, just kind of get them nice and neat. And basically, let's now go ahead with how we actually work with these. So using my eyedropper tool, basically I can do an application of those timber walls onto the pre-selected other walls that I had. Now, a really nice little trick is creating similar object, which is under the right click. The first time you do this, you'll get a dialog telling you if I hold the command and the option key, you'll get a similar object that you clicked on. So basically you'll see that I can now draw with that lovely timber stud wall. This is actually a curtain wall, by the way, and I would, love to show you how to make that if you do some training with me. It's something that's a bit more fiddly to make, but really, really good once you've got this set up. I can also, of course, use my eyedropper tool to match the wall style and basically drop that on. And of course, one of the wonderful things about Vectorworks is things like doors and windows will rapidly basically create the openings in those walls. And I love the set position tool so that this helps you actually set very precisely the position of your door within an opening and wall. Now let's just move that to say 600 millimeters. You can see it's a real precision tool. Now, I really do love the new widget that you see on 2025, where you can just click and flick and really kind of like change the handing of the door and also the way it opens. Don't forget to use your normal 2D commands, things like the mirror tool, because those will, work very, very nicely with windows and doors as well. The final thing is just remember to adjust the top offset for that internal wall, so it's just slightly below the slab level with a -300 top offset. Okay, so what I'm now going to do, of course, is save the file. One of the most important things is just keep saving regularly. And don't forget, you can also batch, kind of like set auto saving and also backups as well if needed. Now, I've got some really good advice on that when we do training together on what suits you best. So now let's have a quick look at my door and window library. So I've also, to accompany my walls, I've got a really nice library of doors. So just take a peek at this for a minute. You'll see how this is how I like to create my doors. window libraries, basically very visual, and I can just go in and rapidly identify exactly the one I want. I've got a number of different layers with lots of different content on, and basically I can copy those through, paste them into the model, and then start to work with them and place them. But most importantly, all of them are completely adjustable when I've brought them in. But having them as a really good starting point does save tons of time. So rather than having to go to the wall or door dialog and start from scratch, I've already got stuff that I've spent a bit of time making at one point, and basically I can just copy those through, like these nice internal doors, for example, go back to my model and just paste those in. So very, very cool. Now, if you double click the eyedropper tool, you can normally kind of like set the plugin parameters so that you can pick up a door style and drop it onto another one. Just remember though, if the door is already styled, it doesn't always bring through everything from that door style. So do make sure you click edit style and basically check out what's happening within the style parameters of the door. Of course, if I was to unstyle it and click replace, that would definitely work. So what we'll do is let's kind of use this nice door here. Let's delete this one, drag this one instead, and let's go to set position. Let's just flip it first and let's set position. There we go. And just put that 600 in again. So it's pretty quick to reinsert and replace. So I can hold down the Option key, drag those across. The other thing that I want to do is just bring in some windows now. So I've got a kind of like window library here. So let's add new favorite files. Let's just go through to my libraries. And basically one thing that I will have to do is just convert these libraries to 2025 format, of course. So do remember, you can't add old libraries from an old version of Vectorworks to the new one. I've got a really good solution for this using the batch convert command, which I'll be able to show you if you do a bit of training with me as well. So this is a really nice library because not only does it have all the UK sort of standard window types that you might need, all of them adjustable and editable, but basically what this does, it means that I can also very rapidly schedule them as well, which is, one of the big informational benefits of BIM workflow. The fact that you've got the information embedded within the windows and the doors and the walls, and you can rapidly schedule these things off. Really unbeatable in terms of sort of normal 2D drafting workflow where you have to do all your schedules manually. So here we go, we're already making fantastic progress. Let's do a tidy up. Within a few minutes, I've got a really nice little model with a couple of levels of detail. I can also copy through my spreadsheet and just watch happens when I paste this in. Right click, all we need to do is recalculate that selected worksheet and immediately those windows pop onto our spreadsheet. Fantastic. So, once you've got this set up, this is a really, really quick and nice way to create a sort of layer of schedules as well. So definitely one of the big advantages of this BIM workflow, as well as coordinated drawings from your model. Now I'm going to kind of like go ahead and basically show you how I can actually draw in a slab. Now I really like the slab tool. I just basically pick the walls that I want to generate, click the green tick, and that generates a slab for me which is bound to the walls. So the really nice thing now is if I stretch my walls out, let's bring them out another meter say, watch what happens, the walls stretch, so does the slab. And of course, all of these connections are part of this sort of BIM setup. Much more intelligent than normal 2D drafting with lines and polygons, really unbeatable in terms of 3D visualization, as well as being able to work directly in plan, but watch this, in elevation as well. So this particular window is styled at the moment. Now the reason I can't edit it, because within the style, these elements are locked. Now if I go in and unlock the width and the height, maybe the elevation reference, this means that I can actually basically stretch and basically drag interactively within my design layer and actually resize windows and doors very, very dynamically in 2D or 3D now. So really, really nice workflow. You can also copy these. This can be a bit fiddly, so you've got to be a bit careful. So what I recommend here is, as you can see, I keep sort of selecting geometry behind or maybe selecting the wall instead. This will happen to you. This is a real world scenario as you're learning. And I will show you techniques when we do training together, how to avoid this and speed up the workflow and get it right first time. So let's move the window using the dialog, and let's also hold down the Option key and duplicate it even within that wall. Now this feels like a very natural way to work for me, working in 3D but working in plan and elevation. So with this door, for example, we can simply stretch it using the new interactive sizing. If I click Edit Style, I can basically click Edit Style and go and unstyle it. Now that means everything is up for grabs. So if I want sort of 3-door pane, I can do that very, very easily. Okay, so I think you'll agree, we've made some really nice little progress. Now, that I'm an architect and this isn't the most exciting project I've ever done. I've done some brilliant, amazing projects using Vectorworks for myself and working with other clients of mine, much more creative than this. But it's really just to show you how rapidly, using the basic elements of walls, windows, doors and slabs, we can create a nice simple BIM model. So I'm pretty happy. I've got my slab in, my new slab I've brought in from my library. Just don't forget to change the datum of that slab so that it kind of like starts from the finished floor level. And one thing you might be wondering about is if the slab is going down below those external walls. Well, of course, those external walls need to be brought down at the bottom. So we can use the selection method with the wand tool to select those and just give them a negative bottom offset of maybe 200 or 300. And that will drop the bottom of those walls down nicely to hide our slab below ground. So looking much better if we put that into the elevational view. Let's just do that one more time. And basically now what I'm going to do is use those walls to actually create the roof. So here's a really nice technique. If you select the walls, basically you can go to create roof and you can actually create a brand new layer. So make sure you create that roof layer at the correct height. So the height of that is going to be 2800. And just be careful that you just select a couple of options here, such as the retain objects. Now that's one that I see a lot of customers miss, as you can see, and what happens is the walls will be deleted. So make sure we just undo that. Let's do that command again. It's really just to show you in real world scenarios, quite a lot of things can go wrong within the BIM workflow. And this is why having some teaching and training, I would say, really demystifies the process and helps you get it right, maybe not first time, but certainly quite rapidly. Okay, so this time I'm going to retain those objects and generate my roof. Something else has gone wrong. Maybe I didn't put it on the right layer. So, these things are real world scenarios that can happen as we're doing for anybody, including myself. So I really just wanted to show you, it isn't that complicated, but you've just got to kind of follow these steps in the right order and just also identify the things that can go wrong. So that you don't, get a block really. So taking my time a bit more here, you can see I made a couple of mistakes. I wanted to do that almost on purpose, of course, and I'm very, very happy now. So now I'm going to go to my roof and click replace. But what I'm going to do now is, rather than do it through the dialog, I'm going to go to my libraries. And of course, my JRA roofs file is sat here waiting for me to be visualized. So I'm going to quickly open the file once again to show you all these lovely roof styles that I've got in here. And there's just, a couple of layers in here with loads of different roof styles, nicely textured up. And if you just want it nice and simple, just copy through that nice slate roof and use the eyedropper to apply. So this is a really, really great way just to kind of rapidly flesh out your concept. And, not the most exciting architectural building, but it's looking quite good in very, very short space of time. And bearing in mind, I've only been working a few minutes. We're already generating basically plans, elevations and sections, or we will be in a few moments, so wait around for that. So just got a couple of things to finish off. You can see that I've changed the pitch of the roof, I've changed a couple of ends to gables, and now I'm going to use my B key to select both walls and basically fit those walls to the roof. This is a really great way to take the walls up to the top of the kind of gable there and just make the building airtight and watertight. There we go. So let's spin around, admiring our model. So I think we're ready to create a couple of drawings now. We've got a fair bit of detail, and basically one thing that I can also do is kind of use the section cube, or clip cube rather, to basically section through my model. Okay, so now I'm going to use my visibility tool, the new object visibility, just to hide a couple of elements there, the wall and the roof. And let's go ahead and create a really nice presentation sheet. Make sure you crank up the DPI here to about 300. Good, so we'll click OK. Let's click update to get the full quality of the rendering. It does a really nice job at the preview, but I always like to see the full quality before I go ahead. And if I do want to, I can duplicate that viewport. Just go to reset object visibility and then click update. And let's just reduce the scale of that particular viewport so I can get that on the sheet as well. Now with a couple of clicks, I'm using my numerical keypad here. If you've got one, I can just change the view of those viewports to show you pretty much every single view of the project. So I'm really, really happy with the model so far, and I've got some nice little drawings. Let's return to the design layer and we'll just unhide those hidden objects. Okay, so now I want to do something that I don't normally do very often, but I really want to show you the power behind the timber framing module in Vectorworks. So by selecting all of my walls, I can go to the wall framer. There's also a roof framer and a floor framer as well. Let's keep the model name quite simple. Let's just call it frames. Basically, I'm going to select 3D, 2D and worksheets and create all of those layers. Basically, just kind of like make sure that you select, very important, the correct layer that the walls are in. Otherwise, you won't actually generate any frames. There's loads of different options in here. Now, I'm just going to accept all the defaults, although I could change all of those sizes if I want to. So honestly, within a click, you'll see that I've now created a pretty good starting point of a framing model for the timber framing. Okay, it may not be perfect, but it's a really good starting point. I've also got some other nice aspects to this, which are, let's just have a look at these. So I've got the 3D model with the frames. Let's just turn those frames on. And if I hold the B key down, you'll see they're perfectly coordinated around the openings and within the walls. So, you know, this is really cool. Using the object visibility tool, I can hide the walls, but just show those frames there. So let's create a viewport of just that on the sheet. So we'll create a brand new sheet called frames. Don't forget to change the DPI to about 300. Okay, so everything looks fine. So let's go to display clip cube. We'll click OK, and don't forget to name the viewport, and there we go. So here is a really nice view of the framing module. Now, if I do want to, I could actually go into advanced properties and adjust a couple of things, but I think we're all right. And basically, I just want to give myself a few more bits of paper. What I actually want to do is change it to portrait. Now, here's a really nice little technique. I'm going to copy up the frames drawing, click layers, and basically swap out that for the ground floor. So do make sure that you've got all your classes on and make sure you tick the correct layer. So let's click OK and update. And that should bring through the correct viewport. So let's just do this once again. So basically, let's drag down the viewport, go to reset object visibility. Now that was what I was missing because the walls were invisible, of course. And now I just want to turn off the frames and show the roof layer. So within no time at all, you can see I've created a really nice kind of like exploded sort of structural view of the walls, the frames and the roof layer. Now I really like doing this. These are always very self-explanatory and well received. One of the other cool things about the framing module, it's created some really nice sort of 2D elevations of the frames as well. All of these are just line drawings, so if you do want to go in and edit these and ungroup them, they're all up for grabs. And of course you can put things like dimensions on all of these as well. So, great little starting point for timber framing. I've actually been working with a number of timber framing companies using Vectorworks recently and developed a really nice 3D workflow for doing this more, shall we say, step by step, as opposed to generated by the Vectorworks framer. And that is actually working really well in that we can schedule off all the frames and all the panels in these projects. So again, this kind of bespoke training is something I spend a lot of time doing. Obviously there's never time in a YouTube video to kind of go into too much detail, but really just to show you some hidden features like the wall framer that you might find quite interesting in Vectorworks. I'm just selecting them using the polygon tool, or the wand tool rather. I'm just pushing those into a class just so they look a bit prettier on the sheet with some, coloured fill, essentially. Good. Okay, so the final drawing you'll see is the actual sort of frame drawing itself. So basically, once again, I can use those. Let's right click and assign to selection, just so we've got some solid fill in there. And we'll do one more thing. Let's basically bring the studs forward and basically put those in the right graphics. There we go. It's starting to look a bit better, a bit easier to read. And basically, I just want to send some of those to the back. So there is our frame drawing. Now, this isn't 3D, but you see the windows and the door openings are left in position because that actually does help. Okay, so I'm very, very happy with this first sheet. I'm going to go and create a couple more sheets. What we'll do is we'll have the exploded view there. We'll go back to our model and basically let's drag in our worksheet. So we've got our nice little schedules. Let's just drag these in. So this particular drawing is all about the schedule side. So I've got a kind of like worksheet for basically, let's zoom in a bit and we'll see what we're dealing with. Let me just get those aligned. Okay, so really nice. The align and distribute command, I love this command. Very simple and very elegant. So you can see we've got a nice little sheet for the frames and the modules. All of these panels are scheduled off and connected to the Vectorworks drawing. Let's give ourselves a little bit more paper. I'm keen to make another viewport using the plan here. Let's just put this onto that drawing as well. So you can see we've got a coordinated plan, and let's just drag off that viewport, change over to layers and put the 2D frames. We might need to rearrange our viewports a little bit here. Very easy to stretch these worksheets. So look at this, within no time at all, I've created a really nice little exploded view. I've got some schedules of all the kind of like timber components that I'm using, and I can do, door and window schedules and wall schedules as well. So this is actually a really good example of a very simple sort of BIM workflow in a nutshell, coordinated drawings from a single model and extracting lots of information or data from my model as well. So don't forget, Vectorworks has superb capabilities. If you're still using Vectorworks just in 2D, you really are missing lots of powerful commands and capabilities that will help you in your architectural and interior design workflows. So, I do understand that there's a lot to learn, and this is why, as I say, my training courses are specifically designed for you. So, please reach out to me if you would like to find out a bit more about these. Okay, so look at the amount of data that we're getting. There seem to be quite a lot of detail, decimal points in there. I know there's a setting within the worksheet that I could go into and simplify, but there we go. We've got our plans, we've got our elevations and frames, and our really nice little exploded view as well. So I think this is looking really cool. We can go to dark mode and look at it on that dark sheet as well if we want to. So the final thing to do is just really show you how I created that lovely exploded view at the beginning. So what I did here was created some design layer viewports, and I did the same technique but on the design layer. And now I'm just using my save views with some pre-recorded save view animations to kind of animate the model for you. So I really do hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As ever, I really do love making these little videos for you. Maybe next time I'll try and do some more creative architecture, but it's really the point of this was just to show you how rapidly you can use walls, windows, doors and slabs and roofs to create quite sophisticated architectural models. I don't think it's that sort of difficult these days, but I have been doing it a long time. If this is something that I can help you with, learn so that you can really benefit from these new advanced methods of working and all these wonderful workflow tools, just reach out to me and I'll be very pleased to help. I look forward to seeing you next one. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.